and welcome back. I'm here with Rachael Choate, and we're going to talk about mom rage and fire family life today. Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Let's just dive right into it. Tell me about yourself and your fire wife journey.
I am Rachel, and I am married to my husband of 10 years now. It feels crazy. So we met 14 years ago at work lifeguarding, and he always wanted to be a firefighter. So supported him through his fire school, his AA degree, and then he went to EMT. So we're LA County, and he went first through, it's called fire suppression aid, basically wildland firefighting through LA County, and then he got into the municipal, and that was right around the time that I graduated from my master's degree, so 2017. And so he's been on LA County Fire since 2017. And we started having kids in 2020. It was a great time to start having kids, right? So we started having kids 2020, and then now we have 3 kids, 5 and under. We have a 5, 4, and a 2-year-old.
Man, you're in the thick of it.
Yeah. It's fun, it's wild, and it's loud.
Yes, loud is the best way to describe it, I think.
Yeah, very loud. Loud with joy and loud with fighting. Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so you got to go through academy. What was that like?
Academy, gosh, it was so many years ago. Are you talking about the first academy, fire suppression aid, or academy through municipal?
Both.
So fire academy for FSA, I feel like it was harder physically. They had to do so much physical work. My husband was at the absolute leanest I have ever seen him. He was so stinking fit. It was grueling, grueling, grueling. And it was right before we got married. And actually, I think he graduated and was on there for a couple months or something when he got sent out actually on a fire. It was, I want to say like 7 or 8 days before we got married, maybe more. So he actually came back the day that we had our rehearsal dinner. So that was the day before we got married. And we were like, is he going to even be able to make it to the wedding? I don't know. So that was terrifying. And then Academy for Municipal. I was in the thick of my master's degree, and he was in the thick of municipal and like training for that and applying. And that was pretty good. And then he was in his first year, so his probation year, my first year of my corporate job. And that was really, really hard. That put a huge strain on our marriage. He was getting used to it. I was getting used to it. We had just uprooted our life and moved a couple hours away from my job. And it was hard. It was really, really hard. We were having a hard time figuring out the new schedule. We went from like seeing each other much more often to now on our new, we have the Kelly schedule. So 24 on, 24 off, and then so on and so forth. Those of you who know the Kelly schedule or you know, it was hard to get adjusted to, but now looking back on it, it's like, whoa, that feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it feels like a blur, I'm sure, like, especially, like, being in a master's degree and him being in academy, like, I can't even imagine the schedules just probably ships passing in the
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, it was, and I feel like it was both good that I was doing my master's, so I had so much going on that I didn't really recognize how busy he was in the meantime, but it definitely felt like, okay, at some point we'll be able to see each other.
At some point, yeah. Isn't
Yeah.
don't we still play that game now? Like, at some point, I'll see you?
Yeah. Yeah, especially during the really busy seasons.
I feel like that's just part of it. I'll
Yeah.
see you when I see you. Okay, so tell me, about present day. How is all of that going?
It's going well. So currently, I am a life coach for moms, and I specifically focus on mom rage. He is an engineer now and loves it, loves what he does. He went through paramedic school, was paramedic for a while. That was cool. It was a lot. Now he's engineer, and I am somewhat on a little soft break from working, but still here and there, but love it. But he's currently working, and it's a lot still. And especially with 3 kids, Chelsi, you and I were talking about right before this how I had a moment today with anger and frustration because he came back home from 3 days on, and I felt like I was being judged for how messy the house was, and I was on edge because I was assuming that he was thinking like, "Gosh, this place is a dump." Dude, like, because the firehouse is just so meticulous and it's so clean, so organized. They clean it every day. And then, like, the culture shock of going from this fire station where everything is put together and orderly and coordinated and you have a schedule to coming home and it's absolute chaos. And you're greeted with tears and crying because a toddler's foot was stepped on by a dog and the other kid has a dirty diaper and the other kid is sick and it's absolute chaos and there's clothes everywhere and stuff everywhere and he just looked overwhelmed. I was like on edge and so snippy and it was because I had that thought like, oh, he's probably judging me. And we had that talk about, okay, are you actually judging me for this? And his answer, which I'm sure most of you guys can relate to, his answer was like, would I want it to be clean? Sure. I think everybody wants a clean house, but am I judging you about it? No.
We're making up these stories in our heads about the stories they're making up in their heads, and it's not even true. I have the same thing. I feel like, "Oh my gosh, the house is a mess." He probably thinks that I've done absolutely nothing for the entire week that he's been gone, and he comes home and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Do you want some help picking this up?" I'm like, "You don't have to do that. I should have done it." He's like, "No, I live
Mm-hmm.
here. It's all good."
Yeah, yes, and it's so nice. But those are the miscommunications that we can have that we don't even know that's happening in our brain. So one of the things that I teach as a life coach is your thoughts create your feelings create your actions. And a lot of the times our miscommunications happen in just the thoughts that we have. And it's not that you're crazy or you're thinking stuff that's not true or whatever. I mean, yes, it's not true in that it's 100% fact, but you have a valid reason for thinking of it or wondering it or questioning it. But it's a good idea to just question those thoughts, bring them to the center. What I teach my clients is often when you get in those disagreements with your husband about like what they're thinking versus what you're thinking, is to come exactly what you were saying. Like, okay, the story I have in my head is that you feel this way, or you're thinking this way, or you're judging me this way, or you think I'm not doing enough. Is that true? That way, we're not coming at it like, you think this, and that's why blah, 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 or you feel this, or you're being too this. And it's a lot more of a teamwork feeling versus me versus you. And that has helped. And that's kind of where I came from this morning. And it just felt like it deflated the balloon of frustration that was about to pop.
Yeah, because they come home tired and we're all tired, like, everybody's tired. You've been working at home, he's been working at work, and
Mhm.
miscommunication happens a lot, so if we can do
Mhm.
something to just be like, "Boop, that's not happening today."
Yes. Yes. Anything helps. Anything helps.
Do you have a routine for reintegration? Is there some magic
No.
thing? No.
I wish I wish I could say that and be that girl that's like, "Yes," but no, we just don't. I guess you could say we have a very loose routine, quote unquote routine, where he comes in. I usually get the kids all excited about, "Oh, dad's coming home. Dad's coming home." We greet him at the door. We really try that me and my husband kiss and say hello first, but dang, my kids are fast. They love their dad. So they're usually climbing all over him, but he makes it a point to come and give me a hug and a kiss. We say hello. And then I mean, this is just him. He is disciplined in this. He'll usually either start unloading the dishwasher or he'll go and get into his regular clothes out of his work clothes. And then from then on it's just taking care of 3 wild kids who are excited about dad being home and really want him to throw them and play with them because I'm not doing that. I'm not throwing them up in the air. So They just gotta wait until dad comes home.
It reminds it like, when my kids were little, it reminded me of that Dr. Seuss book, Hop on Pop.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's all that would happen is they'd be bouncing all over him, and he'd be throwing them
Yes.
in the air.
Yeah. 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 You're making me think about so many people have given me advice over the years, especially for firefighters, that they need that time to like, decompress when they get home. And one of the things that I do, not that I say, okay, go in your room and decompress. I think a lot of his decompress time comes from the commute that he has, but still, I mean, driving isn't like the most decompressing thing in the world. But I try not to unload all the to dos within the first like 20, 30 minutes of him coming home. As much as I want to, I try to just have it be, hi, welcome home. Here's what's going on. If there's drama or crazy things that happened or negative stuff that I just got to vent about, I try to wait like 20, 30 minutes until he's settled in a little bit. And then I'll typically ask him, okay, is it okay for me to just like spew words at you right now?
The commute helps. My husband's always had either a like, right now, he has a 4.5-hour commute, so his decompression time really is the car. But he's always had at least an hour commute, so he took that time, to
Yeah.
get through his thoughts or whatever.
Yeah.
So when he arrived home, whether he was tired or not, he was ready to be accepted into the family, and so hop on
Yes.
pop happened regularly here.
Hop on pop. Yeah.
It still does because now we have 3 dogs, and all the dogs jump on him when he gets
Yeah.
here, so
Yep. Yep. Never gets old.
we're always gonna be waiting in line, Rachel. We're never gonna get to get
Yep.
that first hug and kiss ever.
I do sometimes. I do. There are some times where I'm like, I'm gonna make it special. And the kids are like excited and playing in the house, and I'll sneak out and I will get out through the garage because I can like tell when he's about to get home. And I'll tell him I made sure to get the first hug and the first kiss. Here I am.
I'm sure that that just makes him so happy.
Yeah. I should do it more often.
Yeah. So tell me how you feel about this. So we've been seeing a lot of online therapists talking about making a phone call before coming home and saying, "What is my capacity for home right now?" Do you think that would be helpful?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally, especially in the really tough times. We would do something like that when I was newly postpartum with any of the babies. Not my first, I was still learning, had a huge learning curve. But maybe with my second and third, we kind of did that where we would say, like, okay, how much are you operating at right now? And that was when he was at a much, much, much busier station. So we were trying to be like, okay, I'm exhausted, you're exhausted. What's your level of exhaustion? What's mine? If I have 20% battery in my tank and you have 30%, can you give me a little bit? Or if I have 40%, but you have 20, how can I help out? How can I like refrain from piling on and scheduling stuff right now? Like that was really helpful. So I would fully endorse that. Right now we don't have that because we're in a season where it's not quite as chaotic. But when we do, I know to voice when I'm feeling low energy and I start getting snippy. I'm much quicker to catch on to myself now and be like, okay, I feel drained today. I need to do stuff to help myself. And he's like, okay, great. Go for it.
And vice versa. I'm sure that there's times when he comes home and he's just done and does not want to have to deal with
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Well, my husband's one of those special ones who doesn't voice it.
Aren't
You
aren't
just
all first
catch
responders
it.
like that?
Hmm. Hmm.
Let's think about this for a minute.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I used to take
So
it
it's one
really
of those things.
personally.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
right? I used
yeah.
to think like, "Oh, he's not talking to me because I'm not doing something right," or whatever, or he's going out
Yes.
to his garage to do this project and he's just ignoring me. He doesn't care about me, whatever
Yes.
the silly thing I was making up in
Oh,
my
yeah.
head. And now I
Yeah.
understand that they have to be busy.
Yes. Mhm. They have to be busy or they have to do something else or they have to zone out. One of the things that, like, I often coach on with mom rage is the cell phone usage with husbands, and their their need to decompress, but it's on their phone. And you, as the wife or the mom, you feel like neglected. And then you feel like your kids are getting neglected if you have kids. And you're like, just get off your freaking phone. What are you doing? You're at home now. And we went through a large season where we had so many arguments about that. And it was, again, those thoughts that you were saying, like, does he just not care? Is he ignoring me? Is he upset at me? What did I do wrong? What did I mess up on? And it was a season of trying to get that all figured out. Like, okay, again, here's the story I have in my head. Is that true? And oftentimes it was, I just had a really horrible, hard shift and I just need to decompress a little bit more. And it's frustrating. I went through a big season of feeling frustrated that, like, why can he not just voice that to me? Why can he not just come up to me and say, hey, I've had a really hard shift. Give me some grace. He does that a lot more now because we've talked through it, but he used to not have it. And if any of you that are listening are in that season where you're like, why can't my husband just come and tell me that? It's, they just don't know what they just don't know, because I didn't voice it like that before I knew how to voice it like that. So it's just giving those words of, hey, what level are you at now? Hey, what energy percent are you at now? I'm at this percent. And then it becomes almost like the family culture to talk about that. And it becomes more easily distinguishable for them, I think, too.
And it's practice. These are not
Mm-hmm. Lots.
natural conversations that we have. And it doesn't even have to be, what's your battery? I just ask him, how was your shift? Did you sleep last
Yes.
night? Sometimes it's just
Mm-hmm.
enough to say, did you sleep last night? Or how did you
Yes.
sleep last night? And then you
Yes.
kind of know, okay, yeah, he got 4 hours of sleep. He probably needs a
Mm-hmm.
nap.
Yes. We do that a lot.
Yeah. And then like we actually routinely ask each other that every morning by
Yeah.
text. And so now we
Yeah.
know at what capacity, even when he's at work, at what capacity
Mm-hmm.
we're at. So he knows, like, okay, I'm not going to bug her as much as because he's very sarcastic and he jokes around so much. And he's like, okay, she's really tired.
Yeah.
I'm going to back off the sarcasm for a little
Yeah.
while. And vice
Yeah.
versa. Like, if he's tired, I'm not going to ask him to go do 100 projects for me or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really just practice makes perfect on that one.
Mhm. It really is. It really is. And not only practice makes perfect, practice makes progress. And then something else happens in your life and you feel like you go backwards and then you got to practice again.
We just talked about that off air. Yeah. We were
Yeah.
we were discussing like, okay, everything feels really good. Something's about to happen.
Yeah.
Something is going to change. I can feel it. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that winds in the east thing. Mary Poppins is coming.
Yes. Yeah. That song's going to be stuck in my head.
Sorry, didn't mean it. Okay, so you also have a podcast miniseries is out in the world that is fantastic. I was blessed enough to get to be the first person to listen to it, so that was cool. Tell me a little bit about that and maybe give a little bit of a sneak peek.
Yeah, so it was really out of something where I was like, okay, these things just keep coming up in conversation with every firewife I talk to, every friend that I have. And it's those conversations that we as firewives, we might think to ourselves or we might complain about, but we don't really talk about as often with other firewives unless you feel comfortable enough to discuss it. I feel like sometimes in the firewife community, there's this level of, I have to have it all together. So I don't want to like expose a vulnerability. Like, I don't want to expose that, like, this is really freaking hard for me because what if it means that I'm not cut out for it? What if they think that I'm not cut out for it? So it's all those little things that so many women think about and feel, and I would talk to them about. And so I give a lot of coaching on those topics and topics like Murphy's Law. Everybody knows it. But how do you not get so derailed by Murphy's Law? And it's like, how does it not frustrate you so much? Now, when that Murphy's Law thing comes up in my head, I just don't get as frustrated about it. Sometimes it's even laughable. And that used to be not the case whatsoever. But now it's like, okay, here it is. Here's what we do. And this is great because I can handle this. Other things like mom guilt for passing off the kids when he gets home. Or the biggest thing that I had a really hard time with, and I found a mass amount of women in the Firewife community had too, was we just can't plan things like other 9 to 5 families, and how frustrating that is. How frustrating it is. Like, oh, for example, I had a trip about a month ago and I was trying to decide if I could even go. And we couldn't even figure out if I could go and book the flight because we just didn't know. And I have a flight coming up soon where, again, it's like almost you're on edge because you're like, I just don't know if my husband is going to get recalled those days. And then I can't go, or we have to do that scramble. Like, can you pick up this shift? Can you pick up this shift? Can anyone take this shift? Please, for the love of goodness, somebody help me with this shift. And just not knowing when for sure they're going to be home. I've had to tell my family so many times. They're like, oh, is he going to be home that day? I'm like, we won't know. His schedule says he's off, but we won't know that he's off totally until that day. And even then, he could get a call saying, you have to come in. And then he has to go in. That doesn't happen that often, but we just can't fully plan things. Like, we've had to cancel birthday parties before for my kids. We've had to reschedule them. There's just so many things that you can't schedule quite like a average work hour life family does, and the frustration that comes with that. So I talk a lot about that in the podcast as well. And then one other sneak peek is the feeling of my days feel easier when he's gone. And that brings so much shame to so many of us of, is something wrong? Are we not doing something right? Are we not a compatible couple because everyone else seems to be having such an easier time with this reintegration thing? Or they're having so much fun on their Instagram and they look like they're enjoying life. And when we're home, it's just constant bickering and things just feel so much harder when he's home. So I talk about that as well. And I know that you have Amy Motroni coming up with Genius Mom Hacks, and a lot of her stuff helped so much with that as well, because now both of us are on the same understanding of some systems that we have in place that helps. But that episode, a lot of it is normalizing how frustrating it is to just go from, all right, it's me, I've got the day handled with myself or just the kids, and then your husband comes in and he has a completely different way of doing things, or every child now seems way more emotional or frustrated, or there's just bigger things going on. So I talk a lot about that in the episode as well.
It's so real too, like, goodness. I feel like even 18 years into it, it's still mass chaos when he comes home. And it's not in a bad way. It's not we're, like, not bickering or anything, but like you said, he has his own way of doing things. I have my own way of doing
Mhm.
things. The kids and I get into our rhythm when he's not here, and now he comes home and we're all out of our rhythm again. I don't even think it's frustrating anymore. I'm just like, it's just life. I think that you're right, the systems that you have in place and the things that we were talking about before, like being able to have those preloaded conversations, keeping in contact
Yeah.
and all of this stuff really helps.
Yeah.
Things we were not doing early on in our marriage for sure. So, anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about the mom who feels just like they're completely spread thin and their firefighter is gone multiple days a week and they're not there at home, especially in the wee hours of the night. And you just feel on edge all the time and you're snapping at your kids more than you would like. And you feel like you're just over it. That's my specialty, is the mom rage, because it's just not talked about enough. Nobody talks about it. Everyone online either makes it look like everything's okay and perfect and shiny, or you get to like maybe the more brutally honest side of Instagram or TikTok or social media where people are like, yeah, I yelled at my kids, blah, blah, blah. But nobody really talks about, okay, so how do you get from where you are to where you want to be? Like, how do you get from, I feel really frustrated at my kids. My kids are annoying me. My kids aren't listening to me ever. They're whining, they're crying. How do we get from feeling so on edge and frustrated by those things to where they just don't affect you as much? I'm going to toot my own horn here, but I've had people be like, "How are you so patient?" And first of all, I am not Pollyanna. Everything's great, like so patient. I literally tell my best friend up the street, "Oh, yep, I lost it on my kids this morning. It really sucked and I hated it." But those are so few and far between now versus I grew up a very fiery, emotional girl. I have lots of emotions and I was quick to anger, and my anger was big, yelling, screaming, throwing things. And so I know what the anger is like, and I know that absolute guilt and shame and frustration and just that pit in your stomach you have after you lose it on your family, and you're like, "Why did I do that?" And sometimes even in the midst of yelling at your kid, you have that small voice in your head that's like, "Why are you doing this? It's not that big of a deal. Why are you losing it on them throwing their clothes on the floor instead of in the basket? Just tell them, stop screaming at them." And you just can't seem to control it. So I talk a lot about that in my course as well, why that happens, why you feel like you're screaming. It has so much more to do with basic brain anatomy and the exact way that your brain should be working versus like something's wrong with you, or you're not patient enough, or you're not good enough, or you're not cut out for this role. And it's especially hard when your husband is gone, your partner is gone so stinking much, so much. And so there's an extra level of grace that we definitely have to have as firewives and firewives who have kids too.
And especially, like, you're a fire wife and you have kids and working.
Oh yeah, that extra level. Which, by the way, that's not to put down anyone who is not working because I haven't been working for months now, and it's still just as hard. No, I know. It adds a whole different level of tasks and to-dos and where you have to expend your energy and how you have to split up your time and your energy, what you have to focus on, and like, when the heck do you even do laundry? And it's just so much added on to it.
I don't even know how I did that when I was working full time and had 3 kids at
Mhm,
home, and my husband was gone for gosh, he was gone, just gone.
mhm.
Like,
Yep,
I I don't even know how I did laundry. Honestly, like, that time of my life, I can't even remember it.
a
I
blur.
I think I think it's just a huge, ginormous blur, like, I can remember bits and pieces of it, but yeah, working full time and trying to raise kids with your husband in and out or gone for
Mhm.
long periods of time,
So hard. So,
and
so hard.
you're tired, and you do snap, and
Mhm.
it's normal.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, like, I really emphasize. I do not in my, little world on Instagram and then in my courses, anything that I have, I don't come from shame-based marketing or anything. I hate that. I hate the whole thing of, like, you're gonna ruin your kids. You're setting them up for this disorder. You're setting them up for this thing. Like, ick, ick, ick. No, no, no. We grow so much more out of love and compassion and being loved on than we could ever get growth out of criticism and fear. And I just no, reject all that. So a lot of the things that I tell the moms in my course and then like moms that I work with coaching is okay. So you just snapped. What do you want to do now? One of the best things that got taught to me was, what do you want to do differently next time? Accept that it happened, accept that you're human, accept that you really hate that you did that. And then we also talk about forgiveness, what that looks like with offering forgiveness to your kids. Some people are comfortable with it, some people are not. So we talk about that. But honestly, for you as a mom, as a person, or as just a human being, even if it's a fight with your husband, just asking yourself, okay, what would I want to do differently next time is going to set you up for a much better outcome than next time you feel frustrated. So instead of just saying, oh, I shouldn't have done that and moving on, actually sit and think through, okay, what do I want to do differently the next time that the kids are whining? Use your imagination. The more imagination you use, the better it's going to be based on so many neuroscience feedback and studies. So the more imagination you can put in of like, okay, here's what I would think. Here's what I would do. I would shake out my hands to get rid of that excess adrenaline. I would take a deep breath. I would take a step outside. I would go in my car and scream. I don't know, whatever it is that you have to do and just let off that extra steam. Just give yourself so much grace that you are doing so much. Not to say that other wives have it less hard, but just knowing that in your lane, you have so much going on with the extra pressures of the fire world and the extra hours that you have to give yourself so much more grace.
We're just gonna end it there, I think. That was perfect. Okay, so tell us how to find you and where your courses are.
I have my Instagram. It's at Rachael Choate _ RACHAEL CHOATE _. And then it's the same thing for TikTok, I think, but TikTok doesn't have my link in bio that my Instagram does. So it's easier to find it on Instagram. You click on there if you want to check out the courses or the mini audio series that I talked about that's specific to the Firewife life. The other ones are more about mom rage in general. And there's some free things on there as well if you'd like to check that out, because I know that not everyone is in the spending season right now, but it might be a great Christmas present if this podcast airs before Christmas.
It definitely will. Yeah, so it might be a really great Christmas present for someone,
Mhm.
even if it's not free.
And the audio series is super cheap.
Yeah,
Super cheap. So grab it.
super affordable. Yeah, super affordable. I listened to it myself. It's fantastic. It's literally all the questions we ask ourselves all the time and the
Mhm.
conversations we're having in our own head. And Rachel really does have a wonderful way of explaining and very calming voice. And I love it. It's awesome.
Sweet, calming voice. I'll take it.
It felt like this meditation when I was listening to it. I was like, oh, this is really nice.
I want everything to feel like a big warm hug from
It
me.
was. That's like what it felt like. Everything felt like a big warm hug. It was awesome. Um, okay, so any last thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, just thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here and talking to me today, Rachel. It's always nice talking to you.